Hello and welcome to this Week 6 Saturday of the OPL. My name is Michael Higginson and it's a massive week for all four teams playing today as they vie for contention into the gauntlet. I'm joined here at the analyst desk by Destiny and also Choo Choo. Thank you for being here. How are you doing? You excited about today, Destiny?
Yeah, I'm very excited. We got some good games today and the gauntlet's coming up.
Yeah.
It's looking very, very spicy right now.
Absolutely, Choo Choo's.
Yeah, good games today. Abyss are looking really good and hopefully Chiefs can bring back their old form.
All right, well, let's take a look at the results from yesterday because we did play some games on the Friday evening. AV were too strong for Regicide 2-0 and Legacy 2-1 over Destiny's Direwolves, which means Legacy are currently at the top of the table, but Direwolves have a game in hand, so we'll see how the points tally out. Today, we're going to see Abyss kick things off versus TM, and AV will look to continue their form from yesterday against a Chiefs side who are looking for a win after getting beaten 2-0. I was going to use a more violent word, but getting beaten 2-0 by slaughtered by Legacy last weekend. Direwolves versus TM, and then Chiefs versus Sin tomorrow as well. So a lot of teams will be vying for those third, fourth, and fifth places into the gauntlet. But let's start things off with Abyss versus TM, our first game of today. And at the start of this split, TM were looking quite strong. People can describe them as a wildcard team, Destiny.
Yeah, definitely. I think TM had a fairly decent start to the split. They looked like they were getting progressively throughout each week. They were improving, but then one week it's just down the drain. It looked like they went backwards. Whilst on the other hand, Abyss have somewhat taken a game off AV, which is the fifth place team.
Yep.
And they slowly look like they're on the climb to maybe clinch that fifth place.
Yeah, it's they're kind of on the opposite train tracks. TM took a game off Legacy 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then they got washed by Chiefs, and then they lost last week as well to Regicide. And then Abyss, on the other hands, are doing really well. Like, they've picked up games. They're starting to look a lot better.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to talk about, especially in context of last week and the TM's loss, is that Cyclone's drafts have been kind of questionable. In particular, we want to talk about this Karma that they're playing in the bot lane as support. Destiny, you're a support main. I know you like to play Karma a fair bit. Is Karma a good pick in that role?
I think right now Karma isn't a very strong champion just because she can't bully lane as hard as she used to be. Like, I'm a big Karma player, and Spell Thieves with Ignite, Thunderlords, whatever, you just play really aggressive, you push them in, you get an early tower. But with the current meta, I don't think support Karma is strong, mainly because of the fact that Coin got buffed, tanks outscale her, and if you can't get that tower early, she's pretty much useless.
Yeah.
Why would you pick Karma when you can pick Janna? And especially the nerf, the Mantra Shield got decreased about a couple of patches ago. So that was pretty harsh, in my opinion. And if I do see a Karma today, I think it will be in the mid lane.
I'd agree with that.
We've seen Shock play it before, and they did win a game with it.
That's literally their only win in the past 2 weeks has been on Shock Karma. And it ultimately, to me, seems like team are misreading the meta. They don't understand that this is tank meta. As you said, the Karma, if you don't take tower within 7 minutes, eventually snowballs and loses. I know that you are very high. You rate yourself quite highly as a Karma player.
Best Karma in OS.
Best Karma in OS.
Do not contest me.
Yeah, I just, you can support me on this, but I think Alistar and Braum, these tanky supports are what's really strong. And I mean, he's a Blitzcrank main. Like T-Gun loves his Blitzcrank.
Take him off Karma.
Exactly,
put him on Blitz.
Exactly. And I was talking to them before the game, and T-Gun told me that they prepared something today.
Ooh, all right. Well, we'll see what spicy things Cyclone has in store. Meanwhile, their opponents are going to be Abyss. And I do want to shout out one player in particular, their top laner Pabu, who we've kind of said all year long has been like, as he's come in, look, this guy's on the cusp of doing something great. And he had some pretty good games last week, despite the loss 0-2 to Legacy.
I mean, I really like the Pantheon pick.
Yeah?
You can kind of tell that Drac has told Pabu, hey, this new patch has come in, lethality patch has come in. Pabu was this solo queue player that was known to play these cheesy picks, and you can see he's had some fun. He jumped on the Pantheon, had a really good game despite his score going 1-6.
Yeah.
You could definitely see that this guy knew how to utilize this champion, rotated bot quite a fair bit. It was just unfortunate they couldn't execute on those dives.
Yeah, I think Pabu is definitely a player to watch, especially matching up against Praetor. They're both heavy, aggressive split pushers. They trade a lot in lane, and they're very selfish. They both want to win their lane, but the thing to highlight with Pabu is he's willing to play the tanks. He's played the Maokai, he's played the job, and he's willing to be that team player that Abyss need. But on the other hand, Praediff is Praediff. He just wants to do his thing.
Yeah, he's just gonna teleport back to lane and get that CS.
Yeah, he solo killed Swiper, so he might be able to solo kill Pabu today.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, when we talked about Pabu having to rotate bot lane, let's talk about Raid, the AD carry for Abyss. I mean, because there were some questions about him last split, but this split, I feel like he's been improving and playing well.
This split, he's played phenomenally.
You're a fan?
Yeah, I'm a big fan at the moment. You can see over the past 2 drafts that Abyss have been into, they've been first picking Xayah, so they're comfortable. They know that Raid, if they give him this champion, he has the potential to carry them. As you can see, his kill participation is pretty high, and his CS per minute. This guy is definitely one of their win conditions going into this series.
Yeah, I think Raid has gotten a lot of confidence. Bringing back Luch into the roster after the ban, I think it's really pushed him to become a better player, and I feel like he is the main carry on the team. As you can see, he's played a lot of Xayah, and he played very well last week against AV when he did play it. And yeah, he just offers a really good AD carry to their team. He's sort of a backbone, him and Luch, together forever type thing.
Together forever. Well, meanwhile, I mean, he's going up against Low, and there have been questions asked about his ability in the bot lane, especially this split. I don't think he would be happy with the way he's been playing.
Yeah, Low and T-Gun, arguably their weakest lane at the moment, arguably TM's weakest lane. And I don't want to see him on Tristana. I don't want to put all the blame onto the champion picks, because I know Tristana top in my opinion, top tier AD carry at the moment. But just from watching their past 2 weeks, watching T-Gun and Low utilize this Tristana pick, they haven't been able to push these towers. They played Karma Tristana and struggled very hard to get much damage onto their bot tower. It kind of shows how they have a bit of inexperience, but who knows, they may have prepared it and it may look better today.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they should go for the Tristana, mainly because Raid's been playing a lot of Xayah, and Xayah into Tristana is a good matchup because whenever Tristana uses that explosive charge, she can just use Feather Storm and just run away and take no damage. So I think that matchup is very good for Raid, and yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look at the Abyss lineup, shall we, as they're getting ready here. Their top laner is the young mechanical Pabu, who we already spoke about. Their jungler, the captain, is Seb. Their mid laner is Luch, who we talked about, has just come back from a ban at the start of the split. Raid is their AD carry, and their support player is Rosie, who's laughing at something. Oh, well, I'm being told by the producer that Rosie's the captain. I apologize. I thought Seb was. My apologies. To
Captain Rosie.
Captain Rosie, my apologies. Oh, it's been a change. My apologies. All right, well, this is the Abyss lineup getting ready here. And, I mean, looking across this lineup, threats, I think, in their top lane and potentially in that bot lane if they can outskill TM.
I would also like to touch on Luch. I know, I praised Luch a fair bit at the start of this split, and then he had some fairly poor performances at the start, but you can kind of see that with Abyss getting better over these past 2-3 weeks, I definitely wouldn't count him out in this, I would say, mismatch in the mid lane against Shock.
I think with the meta shifting to double tanks, I feel like yesterday in the series was pretty evident that Orianna is really good because she can just shield the tanks, they go in, then she gets a free shockwave. So this is one of Luch's main champions, and if he's willing to get on the hands of that, he can be a threat.
Well, their opponents today are TM. Let's go through their lineup, shall we? Their top laner is Praediff. Their jungler is Only. Their mid laner, we already spoke about today, is Shock. He's got kind of a limited champion pool. Let's see if they throw some bans at him. Low is their AD carry, and the Goon is their support player. And speaking of the Goon, after their loss last week, he was absolutely devastated. He tweeted out he's going to take a break from social media. I think he took a break for about 4 days, but a break all the same. And I think as well, this marks about a year
Haven't
since
won
the
a game.
Goon won a series here in the OPL. So, I mean, I'm sure his fans are wishing him the best today. Let's get your guys' predictions before we get into this first match. Destiny, who's going to take this one?
I think Abyss will 2-0. I think they will be some crazy games. I feel like if they put T-Gun and Blitzcrank, I feel like TM can still win, but I'm just putting my eggs in the basket for Raid.
All right. So, aside from a Blitzcrank for the Goon, you think it's a 2-0 to Abyss?
Yeah, 2-0 to Abyss.
Choose.
I think it will be a 2-1 to Abyss. I'm confident that TM have learnt a lot over their past 2 weeks and can take this going into the series.
All right, well, let's see if Cyclone drafts them for comfort and if they can take this game. And also take a look at your tips as well, opltips.com.au. The majority of people think that Abyss will be able to take this one, although I will say most people, almost 3/4 of people, think this is going to be a 3-game series, so a hotly contested
Love a
match
3-game series.
we're going to see today. Woo. And remember, if you're in the top 200 people in that tipping competition at the end of things, you are going to get some Uber Eats vouchers. So let's get some tweets from you as well if you're a support player at home and you've got any questions for our panel today. Hashtag I'mOPL or @OPL. Let us know your questions about the game. We'll answer them during our analyst segments. But for now, it is time for us to get into our first match of the day with your TriCast of Spawn, Fish, and Carbon.
Thank you, guys. I'm Matthew Stewart. Joining me is the boss, Tim Carden-Wendell, as well as Jake Spawn Tiberio, about to get into game number 1 of Abyss taking on TM.
Yeah, and this should be a really interesting game because we've got a team that's on the up in Abyss Esports, even though they weren't able to take the victory over Legacy. Their early games looked much improved in that series. Seb looked like he was having an easier time around the jungle. So I'm interested to see what happens now that they go up against TM, a team we thought would get better, but is actually honestly getting worse.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, actually, the story of TM's split so far. They had a really good start. I think they took games in their first 3 losses or something. I think every game that they lost had been 2-1 until like week 4. So it looked like they were on the up and up, but unfortunately they seem to have hit a mid-season roadblock.
Yeah, now they're going up against Abyss, another team that looked like they were struggling at the start of the split, dropping a game to Regicide, a team who had no bans in that entire match. Now, however, up against you guys recently, Carbon, it looked like one of their most competitive games, despite the fact that it was a 2-0 going to Legacy's favor. So we'll have to see how well Abyss are going to be able to do into TM here, who are the last team to pick up a victory in the OPL this split.
Yeah, I think the big thing here for TM is making sure they get a good bot lane matchup. The analyst desk touched on it. It feels like when TM's bot lane holds up, they look a lot more competitive than otherwise. I think last week that was the big kind of their big issue, is that bot tower just kept falling so early, and they just lost complete control of the river after that.
Yeah, and you know, when bot lane goes that badly, in a lot of the times you can point towards jungle matchups, so you know, maybe your mid lane losing priority and therefore rotating down. But a lot of the times last week it was just a straight 2v2 and they weren't able to hold up into the pressure. So that's step number 1. You can't ask for help if you can't actually equalize a lane. So you know, get yourself something, even if it's what Direwolves did yesterday, where they got a little bit outplayed in the game and they were like, you know what, we're just going to pick Sivir. We're going to put our bottom lane on wave clear duty. It's a tank meta. Sivir scales up very well. Hitting tanks, it goes to the carry. So I would like to see, you know, some replication of that and being able to get some big utility into that bottom lane.
I think the kind of the auxiliary problem there as well is that, like, only I think his performance in the last couple of weeks hasn't been as good as it was at the start. But a big part of that is his bot lane, because Only really likes ganking bot, and we saw that last week as well with a Rek'Sai. He was constantly visiting bot, but every time he did, either his bot lane was engaging too early or he was coming in too late, and it didn't look like the communication was there, and he just kept showing on the map and not getting anything done. And so that puts him behind as well as their bot lane.
Well, let's see if they can change things around. Already a couple of very interesting bans coming out from both teams. Karma and Kane banned out by Abyss. Bard is the first ban that TM throw Abyss's way, with Cho'Gath, Maokai, and Jace following through. At least the first pick for Abyss, leaving Galio up, and that might be the first pick for TM.
Yeah, it certainly could be. Tigun likes to play it in the support position. Don't know whether Praedyth or Shock have picked it up yet. Touching on Kane, I'm a big fan of falling asleep to high elo solo queue at the moment, Fish. And Only is a nuisance on the champion. He runs around on solo queue late at night on Kane more than anyone else I think I've seen. So,
what form?
He's a red form, unfortunately. Yeah.
Boring.
What?
Boring.
My red form's the best form.
Try hard.
Okay, wow. Meanwhile, the final pick for TM in their first rotation is going to be the Gragas, something we see very commonly flexed between top and jungle.
Quickly, I want to get your thoughts on Elise at the moment, Carbon, because obviously Cho'Gath, Maokai coming very back into the meta, but they're banned out here. Like, is there still a place for the super early game jungler that doesn't really have a team fight phase at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Elise, she hasn't been, or she did get a small nerf on a base AD, but other than that, she hasn't really been touched. It's just the fact that she can't build Cinderhulk. I think there's still room for a bit for Elise, well, and Abyss, I suppose, to have a really big impact in the early game and then kind of just snowball that lead out. We've seen overseas that she's still getting played a lot. She's still very strong. Level 3 dive creates a lot of top lane pressure. So I think Elise absolutely does still have her spot in the meta. But the problem is you have to make something happen, because if you don't, Elise's problem before was that she got outscaled. Now, because of the new Barmy Cinder, she gets outscaled even quicker.
Well, neither team have opted to pick up either Caitlyn or Thresh, one of the more common first picks so far. Abyss decided to lock in Xayah as well as Syndra very early on into the draft. We should see Low finally pick up Caitlyn here.
Yeah, and you know, Caitlyn got a big nerf. I mean, when you look at the attack speed, it feels worse, but also it was roughly like a Phantom Dancer worth of attack speed. And you know,
It was half, right?
Yeah.
They halved her base attack speed growth stat, which is gigantic.
It's absolutely massive, especially for someone that builds double zeal items. I mean, you really need that base stat to be big.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we kind of make up for it, you know, with Ardent Sensor and things like that coming more into support meta. If you go something like a Janna, or I mean, a Bard that goes the silly mastery. I promised I would shout him out, and I have
Bond of Stone.
Bond of Stone. Bond of Stone Bard apparently is where you get the Ardent Sensor in there on Bard if you
it's
cupcake.
Andy's thing.
Shout out to him. He said that when he started picking up Bond of Stone as opposed to the Thunderlords, that he was feeling a little bit safer, a little bit tankier around Summoner's Redfish. I like it when supports do different things.
Yeah, we thought it was the hot cocoa splashing in someone's face.
Yeah.
You get the,
I said he turned the cocoa into coffee. But,
Bit of pep. Speaking of support, interesting in the draft so far is TM play a lot of Galio support, as you touched on, and I think AE Abyss have read this. They know that this could very likely be the case, and they're trying to save their support pick to find out if this Galio is going to be flexed or not. TM, on the other hand, have started banning out the supports. They've already banned out the Rakan. I was going to say they might ban another. They don't. But it's very rare that we see a support pick so late in the draft, and I'll be curious to see what Abyss do here.
But interestingly enough, because Luch has taken his mid laner already, and they kind of know that Elise is the jungler, like because that's the only area she can play, they know what the 2v2 is. So they can take Shock's champion right now because they kind of know what they need to play towards, and they can leave that flex to the very last.
Yeah.
Whether it's top lane, whether it's bottom lane. I think
it will be top lane.
Yeah.
Because of that man on the screen. He always gets the counter pick.
100%.
As we see. Oh, okay. I like this. I like this a lot. I feel like Elise Syndra, like you said, very obvious power point in the middle lane for Abyss. And their game plan, I mean, you can kind of tell what it is. And I think Galio will be pretty difficult for them to snowball off of. I mean,
nullifies it.
He doesn't really have an escape, but at the same time, he's going to be very tanky, and when he's behind, he's still relevant.
And the other thing is they've kind of hit like now the major support pool that we know that Rosie plays. Like Rosie was never really known for the Alistair Braum guy.
No.
He was, and I coached him a long, long time ago, but he was a guy that always wanted to figure out the counter pick to these really annoying champions. He did not enjoy playing them at all. And that's why we ran around with things like Zig support.
Yeah.
But like, I think that at times is a detriment to your team. This is kind of the trap that Praetor falls into. Let them take the tank, I'll split push into it, but it becomes much harder. And there we go. That's
not meta.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not meta. Nautilus has absolutely been gutted as far as supports goes. He's not tanky without items anymore. He used to be, but that's not the case. I mean, maybe Knight's Vow helps him out a little bit, but I think that this now becomes a lane that if you're the Gragas, you can look towards the Xayah, very short range, Nautilus melee champion, and gank it a lot.
This is really strange. Braum was left up as well, and it does incredibly well into the team composition that team have put together.
Mate, Alistar's left up. Just play Alistar with your Xayah.
I mean, and that's the power of flex pick, right? You know, people talk a lot about flex picks on every broadcast, in every region. Everyone is always talking about flex picks in the draft, and what you see right here is the power of it. The ability to pick early a strong champion like Galio, and then late pick an extremely strong champion like Thresh, and force the opponent onto non-meta. I mean, yes, you guys were saying he could have played meta if he wanted to, but I think that, that's the strength, and I have to say that I'm a fan of this draft so far.
Yeah, I mean, the final pick for TM could have been top, jungle, or mid lane. Instead, they opt for the Jarvan top, giving them a bit more damage, but a very beefy front line on top of that.
Also gives Shock a way to get into these team fights now. Like the last weakness of Galio was sometimes he struggles to get in by himself. Cataclysm into the ground entrance is going to really help out Shock's day. Parbu as well on the Shen is an interesting one. We've seen it still played internationally. But even though it's a tank meta, it's not kind of Shen's tank meta because he does get forced in. He's very single target until he gets a Tiamat pickup. And if you fall behind in lane, that's incredibly hard to do. So be interested to see how he plays against the Jarvan in this game. Praetor is a good Jarvan player.
I don't think that matchup, I think Shen does quite well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing about Shen is that he actually does have pretty good matchups into a lot of champions pre-6. Obviously at 6 he doesn't have a combat ult, and that's where he kind of can sometimes lose.
Yep.
But I think I wouldn't be surprised to see Shen come back into the meta. We do see it a little bit overseas.
Yep.
And I think that, I think they must have something planned. I mean, I don't really see where the opportunities come from for the Shen right now. I mean, they do have Nautilus Hook, where the bot lane can maybe force an all-in with a Shen ult at 6, but, I mean, they have Lantern and a Galio, so we'll see what happens.
I think they have to play pick, right? I think they're going to look to like set up around Vision, send Shen into his lanes, get him pushing out like with the Titanic Hydra or something like that, and then once you've got that pick, then be able to take the Shen there and force something else. I think in a straight 5v5 team fight, you lose right now.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how Abyss decides to use the Shen top lane pick and how this game goes in game number 1 of Abyss taking on TM. We're on to Summoners Rift, but first, let's check in with Serian, who's standing by with the coach of Abyss, Drac.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Drac from Abyss. Firstly, I just wanted to ask why you went with Nautilus in the support. Since he's not really in the meta at the moment, are you able to explain why you went with him?
Yeah, we needed a tank to help match up with the tank comp that they've been drafting, and we were lacking a little bit of engage, so Nautilus brings both of those. Plus, he has a pretty good laning phase into Thresh.
Also wanted to ask you about the Karma ban. Do you see Shock as a threat on that champion?
It's not the threat, it's how much Karma facilitates tank comps. Those shields are so hard to get through when they've got so many high resistances, so and they like to flex it. So,
Well, going off that, are there any threats that you can see heading into this first game?
yeah, there's a strong possibility that their all-in is very strong, so we want to be very, very careful about when we team fight in this game.
Well, best of luck, Drac, and thanks for talking to us.
So picking up the Nautilus has a frontline tank and offering a bit more initiation for Abyss.
I mean, it does do those things.
Is there a support champion that
It's
could have
just
done that?
Not that strong. I mean, they could have picked support Malphite, and you would have been able to say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is that when you have a single damage comp, and they kind of are, Praedyth will have some threat, as will Shock, but really the Caitlyn is a big damage threat. Not ult really ruins 80 carries days in that regard, because it's a point-click stun from very far distance. So I think that there is a tiny bit of merit to how the team fight will work, but I disagree on the laning phase point. I think that he's spot on with the team fight, but the reason that you don't see things like Nautilus or a Moo support or things like that is because their laning phase are a little bit rough.
Yeah. Well,
Still in the right moment.
Yeah.
Something that did bring Nautilus back slightly in the support position was when Courage the Cross Colossus was introduced. There was a brief spike in his play there, but he has fallen off since.
That was, when it was introduced, Fish, that was the most busted mastery of all time.
Which one?
Courage of the Colossus, when it was
yeah,
first
the first
brought
one?
in.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's where
you know what
Riven
was
used to take a
busted?
top lane.
You know what was busted? Strength of Ages. That was, for those of you who remember Strength of Ages, it was a tank mastery that used to run on Nidalee Jungle. That should tell you enough.
was that the one that you got more health?
You got
when
health.
It was just straight up just health. Like
Yeah,
killing
when-
camps gave you health.
Yeah.
It was just a free 280 health.
It stacked
Or
out at
240.
something like 300 at the end. It was disgusting, but there's little interactions.
Good hook.
A
Nice
good hook comes out from Tegan. They're level 2.
Good trade. Good
Plays him
trade.
back as well, and Lowe's going to get a couple more auto attacks in for that. Rosie wants to trade back, but good play for TM.
And Tegan on a comfortable champion, I think there's like a big difference that you can see. You can see that he was very comfortable getting a couple of auto in, holding the play until they were at max range,
Seb's going
pulling it
mid.
back in.
Yeah, Shock taking some damage there, but doesn't get stunned up by Luch. So the upper comes out, and he gets back to safety.
That's the problem. That's the reason why I thought Galio was pretty good. And the problem here for Seb is that Only's done his Wolves, which means he's up a camp and his Wolves are going to respawn quicker. And he's going to be up 2 camps because Elise hasn't done a Wolves. She's still not doing her Wolves. And that's the risk with Elise, is you try and get on the map as fast as possible by taking the least amount of camps to be able to be combat ready. But if it doesn't pay off, like it didn't, she's going to try again here. And if this doesn't work, I fear for Seb.
Let's see what Seb can do. Big taunt flash as well as a flash cocoon coming out from him. They take down Praedyth, and Abyss get an easy first blood.
Yeah,
No
I was
counterplay.
going to talk about it in the pick ban phase, but CC set up top lane, like Renekton, Shen, these kinds of champions, plus Elise, are really oppressive to deal with when you rely on poking out with a Q on Jarvan, because it's going to push the wave as you're doing that, and it puts you in situations exactly like that. Only going for a cheeky invade here.
I mentioned it in the pre-game, in the draft as well, that Elise, one of Elise's big strengths in this meta is just the pressure she puts on top.
Yep.
No one else can really kill top lane the way Elise does, and we saw a perfect example there. I will say, though, that now Shen Flash and Elise Flash are down, and so the next gank will be a little bit more difficult because Praedyth will have his flash up.
That's what I was going to say. At least Praedyth just died. And that's a weird thing to
I don't think
say.
he had much of an option, to be honest.
But, like, I mean, every now and again you'll see people, like, mashing that flash button. They'll, like, flash out with, like, 3 or 4 health.
Yeah.
And they're going to die anyway. But at least he just sat there, he took it, and teleported back to lane. And now he has his summoner spell available when they don't.
He's just going to push back to Praedyth eventually, though. So once he gets closer to his tower, I think he's going to be feel a little bit more comfortable, because right now he's only farming with E's and Q's.
Yep, and he's playing a lot very respectfully towards Parba at the moment, with zoning him off creep slightly. Seb's going to use this time to take away the Raptor camp from
like it.
Only.
I like it. So that's one of the things you have to do in Elise. I was mentioning earlier, the camp deficit that he put himself at. This will help, by especially if he manages to secure his own chickens. But that being said, only has a base on him now, and he has the Balmy Cinder. So I expect this Gragas to pull away with an XP lead soon, unless this Elise kills someone.
And that's a big thing about why tanks are so strong at the moment. 900 on a first back is very obtainable, like on every jungler. Versus, you know, sometimes like the 1100, or at least what do you go, like trackers. We see trackers here. Generally, you can see like Moby boots or Sork boots. Maybe you see a Dark Seal pickup if you're feeling really confident, something like that. Much jankier shops.
No flash on Parbu.
Gang comes out from only. Just, you know, chips him slightly and walks away. And now Praetor wants to go in and does absolutely nothing as well.
Just burns mana for the sake of burning mana fish.
Costs a couple of range autos as well from the creeps. Yeah, I will say that is the, well, not the problem, but one of the setbacks of going Barmies as opposed to the Runic Echoes is that Runic Echoes Gragas actually does pack quite a punch in the early game. His barrel hurts, whereas with the Balmy Cinder, it really doesn't. And this, when you go get this Gragas build, it's really about scaling to 6 and then hitting that E-Flash combo.
And you already saw there, like, the threat of only on Praetor did nothing to Parbu. They're very tanky on the Shen, difficult to take down.
You're a big fan of the, Seb's here.
Yeah, they're looking to catch out low, and then he gets hooked and Cocoon, looking to try and get over.
Galio.
Shock's coming in, lands to the ground, but Repel already came out from Seb, and Parbu's coming out with his Standing Knight as well. Hook is on, lands at the Zaya, but it's just a disengage tool at this point in time for TM.
Yeah, Praetor didn't have the teleport to get down there, so they have to back away.
That might be a little bit of insight, though, into why we saw Shen get picked. We were questioning in the draft that we didn't, well, I didn't really understand why. And maybe that's it. They were just afraid of Galio roams to the bot lane, and Shen is a easy way to at least defend the first one, because, of course, Shen ult is a longer cooldown than the Galio ult. Yeah, look, good save by Parbu there.
Gives Praetor some breathing room as well, top side of the map, so he'll be able to farm up a little bit. Low, only forced to use the heal in that engage. Good Lantern coming out from Tegan, got him back to safety. However, Raid's gone back to base and immediately picked up a BF sword for himself.
But in saying that, they're down like a creep wave. And when you're losing lane to, I mean, I don't want to sound too mean about this, but T-Gun and Low certainly have looked like they are one of the weaker bottom lanes in the OPL. And when you're down in CS against them, I think that you do have to question the position that you put it, Raid and Rosie in, because the desktop touched on it so much.
In the draft?
The turnaround, in the draft. The turnaround of the Abyss lineup looks like Raid and Rosie are playing confident League of Legends again. And I feel like if that is where a lot of your success is coming from, you should not put them in a weak position.
We see another mid gank.
Yeah, stun lands as well as the hook and Cocoon. Locking down Shock, charges the taunt, gets a big shield and Dark Passage back to safety.
Nice. Okay,
Anti-magic damage.
Yeah, triple magic damage. Galio Livings, surprise. I will say, just touching on the draft again, that they did early pick the Zaya, but with Caitlyn still up. Caitlyn being the traditional counter to Zaya. I say traditional, she's only been out for like 2 patches. But Caitlyn has been a good matchup into Zaya since Zaya's release, and they picked it with Caitlyn being up, so either they think this matchup is probably not as bad because of the nerfs. There's probably some truth in that. But it also might give some credit as to why they're down 6 creeps.
Yeah, big range disparity between the 280 carries. Zaya one of the most short range carries, Caitlyn the longest in lane. They're doing just fine at the moment, but things are very even on Summoner's Rift. Abyss have a slight lead after first blood.
Waiting for only to make a play soon. I think he's 6 now. He has flash.
Good damage from Raid, locks down low. Rosie was looking for the hook, doesn't connect.
It's a confident sidestep, no flash there.
Yeah, I liked it.
That one was heading at his head.
Although that's the kind of one where when you get hit,
Aaron
Aaron roasts them on the desk for not using their flash. But no, good sidestep, backed himself there and pulled it off.
And I mean, we talked about this already. They're about 800 gold up, something like that, when they pick up this creep wave. But is that enough with like an Elise on Summoner's Rift? We've already talked about the scaling of Gragas. He's hit 6 now, 0-0-0. This is where Only will look to make an impact on Summoner's Rift. And Elise got that one good gank off top lane, but really hasn't been all that successful since then.
No. Look, this Elise, I think I give her another few minutes. She hasn't finished her Runic Echoes yet. When she finishes the Runic Echoes, it's a pretty big power spike in terms of damage. And you can come out and execute someone, one-shot someone. She has the flash now as well available, so I wouldn't write off this Elise just yet. I think she still has probably until the 15-minute mark or so before I start calling her pretty irrelevant. But at the same time, Only needs to get on the map soon. Although they do have... I'm criticizing Only, but he did just finish getting bot side river control, so that is that is, you know, he's doing something. He's not doing nothing.
John must be a little bit careful here because Lucius poked him out quite well, denying CS from the Galio as well.
He's got the rejuve beat, so he thinks he's banking on the health regen. He's got the Water Drake as well, so I think he's just going to try and wait it out until TP comes back up and then try and base.
Also sitting on a cow, so not going towards something like an Abyssal Maskfish. He's just going towards, you know, straight tanky items. See how that pays off for him. There is a lot of AP, so I would have liked Abyssal Mask into, you know, another AP item, Magic Resist item.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, it gives you, like, what is it, 40 or something? And it's a pretty good laning item, but...
Well, if I look at Abyss's win condition, hang on.
Dive bottom lane, everyone's piling in. They try to take down low to kick things off. Good taunt coming through, and he's the first one to fall. Dodge field negating a lot of damage. Pabu's trying to run, but Seb's going to be a big casualty. Pabu tanking off so many turret hits, and a Flay bringing Rosie back into the fight. Meanwhile, though, Shock's be able to kill the mid laner from... Sorry, TM's mid laner is being able to take it down by the Abyss Luch, who's coming back into the bottom lane, looking to lock everyone else down. This is a disaster for TM, and Ray gets another one.
That's an absolute shellacking in the bottom lane. I mean, a collapse came in, Shock was looking for a way to ult into that fight, and then all of a sudden Luch blows him up, has a huge flank, and at that point, TM have to fight them.
Did he get caught ulting?
I think he was looking for the ult up in the jungle. So he was like, I'm going to walk into my jungle, I'm going to look for an ult position, and then he just got blown up.
Yeah. Luch destroyed him before he can even reach the bottom lane. It was looking like a good turn from TN.
Gotta say, I'm not sure what happened there, but Luch absolutely carried that because imagine if there was a Galio ult landing in the middle here. Abyss would have got absolutely cooked.
So they go for the dive. I mean, that's a good barrel. It forces them against the wall, gets a little bit more CC. But Elise, turret diving, able to drop the aggro there. You can see how tanky Pabu is. He just walks out.
Oh, it missed this Shen, actually. Pabu, nice flash. Flashes at the same time as T-Gun, who's trying to play him. But, yeah, just imagine if there was a Galio ult in there and that Low had the damage reduction as well. He wouldn't have died as quickly. That would have been a completely different team fight. So you absolutely have to give props to Luch, thinking ahead, making sure that this Galio doesn't impact the dive.
And with that now, Abyss, 3,000 gold in the lead over TM. So
and I mean, as a Caitlyn lane, you've just lost turret at 12 minutes. I mean, this time it's off the back end of a huge team fight, but Caitlyn does not want to be rotated around the map at this early phase of the game.
Especially not this Caitlyn, because Caitlyn now needs items. Rosie might be caught here, unless he can turn it.
He tries to lock down low, gets good damage out. Will sidestep a couple of traps too. TM still looking to try and chase him down, but it's a very tanky Nautilus. Hook goes wide. Rosie casually sidesteps that.
Can't help but think that TM just worried themselves out of that one. He was pretty out of position, but TM doesn't know where the rest of Abyss are, and they're ultra afraid that there are people behind him, and they just kind of let him walk out. I think T-Gun could have committed much harder there, and it would have been a free kill. Rosie, no flash.
I think only could have just thrown the cast, to be honest.
Yeah, he has flash. He could have E-flashed.
Yep.
He threw the E, didn't flash to commit. Could have put him in the tower as well.
And you say he's reasonably tanky fish, but he's got Moby boots and a Sightstone. He is not tanky at all at this stage of the game.
There's a tweet coming in from Coach Cyclone. Some people might not be aware, but Coach Drac and I worked together most of 2016. Today is pretty special to me.
Yeah, both Alpha Sydney boys.
Rivalry.
Meanwhile, there's a gank coming into mid lane. Shock's going to uppercut his way away. Taunt does not connect from Pabu, but Shock lands one of his own. Doesn't deal too much damage to Luch, but he's a very tanky Galio at the moment.
Yeah, I'm failing to see a win condition here for Tainted Minds.
Yeah.
Because they banked it all on the Caitlyn, and losing her tower early is an absolute disaster. You do not want it. You cannot afford to fall behind early on
now
Caitlyn.
Seb is camping this lane, lands the Kahoon. The hook does not go on, and the ultimate from Raid a bit too far. Tegan's going to try and hook them back, locking Rosie down. No box coming out.
Oh.
But that could have been a dead Rosie.
Rosie didn't ult as well then. Like, this is just a commodity of teams holding spells that would have picked up 3 kills for them.
Rosie, because the Cocoon hit, Rosie thought he didn't have to burn it, but instead he hooks a creep, which is a shame. And then Low gets out with the lantern. T-Gun hits the hook, but Low misses the trap for the flay. Or, alternatively, you could say T-Gun missed the flay into the trap. But
one of those is a lot harder to hit.
Yeah, but that really should have been a kill on either side. It's only find Seb.
Yeah, here comes Galio as well, trying to back him up in the
Seb
fight.
has no flash.
Shen's coming in too, but Luch has joined it first. So it's a 3-on-2, or is it? Shen's not here. Seems like he's got a teleport cancel, but Luch dealing so much damage. Only's going forward, smacks him in the head, but the Dark Spheres are going to be enough to pick up a return kill. T-Gun's flying on down, looking to try and help out, but miss. They fight on the top side of the map as well.
I mean,
Low
they're
has
fighting everywhere.
They're still
taken
stuck
down.
now. Shock and Tegan both going to get stunned up. Rosie's waiting on the other side. They've got to run all the way around. There is a blast cone for him. We'll be able to take it. Ultimate comes out from Galileo. No, Shock! He just goes straight up in the air, gets taken down. Tegan's trying to run for the hills, has Moby Boots, but it's going to be difficult.
All right, I got a question. Did the Nort ult cancel the knock-up from the cone, or did you get the cone bug where you go straight up in the air? Which one?
Ooh.
What do you reckon?
We'll have to see that one again. I think it was the Nort knocking him back. It seemed like he was in the right position to be knocked over the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, not sure what happened to Low there. Got caught trying to rotate up the river. And him dying left his teammates stranded in the opposition jungle. Only committed super hard, as we get to see it here. Rave's not paying attention, or... I mean, that is as easy as you like.
What?
And he flashed. That is...
yeah, that's a freebie.
That's ugly. That's ugly. And that's... his team lets the team down. There's no other way to put it. They're just stranded here now.
Shock and Tegan get caught out here. Run over to the blast cone.
See what happens. Slow-mo. Straight up. Nah, didn't get cancelled. Straight up.
Oh.
That's weird. I've never seen that before.
Nah? Yeah, it happens.
I'm horrible at using
It's
blast
when you stand
plant, so
right on top of the blast cone.
You were watching me today. I reckon I misclicked a blast plant like 4 times.
Well, you can only misclick it once. So.
No, like as in like I just click all around it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You miss it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
It's a stationary target spawn.
Pardon?
It's a stationary target.
It's because like I think the way that I A-click, like when I play 80 carries, I A-click in front of things because I hate overextending my mouse.
Yeah, I agree.
But
It's probably the way you move your mouse.
Yeah, you can't A-click. Thanks for that, Skipper.
Yeah, I misclick. Oh, yeah, how come? Well, it's the way I move my mouse. Oh, yeah. That makes sense, I guess.
That makes sense. It's definitely not a keyboard malfunction, that's for sure.
Bishop picking up the Rift Herald here is going to let them break mid tower, which is already super low. So, looks like TM want to contest, and
Teleport coming behind them, though.
Frankly,
from the
they
Shen.
should.
They lock down Tegan. He's going to be the first to fall. Ultimate from Only does nothing. Ray goes on a killing spree.
this is going to get a lot worse before it starts getting any better.
I mean, this game needs to go for an incredibly long time for TM to have anything. They're getting picked off. They have no vision control. The Caitlyn's in a disaster of a position. They don't even have side lane priority because of the fact that Predator's died twice, and there's this Sunfire Cape as well as a Tiamat on the Shen right now, so not even pushing him in. This is just a very difficult game to win.
They don't even need Rift Herald to take down this turret. They just walk up, auto-attack it a few times, and a second turret has been picked up by Abyss.
Galio's got the...
Adaptive helm.
Yeah, the adaptive helm. What's that for?
Syndra ulti only.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Feathers.
I thought, how many Qs is he getting hit by?
Just catch all the skill shots.
He doesn't have to juke anymore. Okay, second water for TM. Looks like Abyss aren't going to bother checking this one. Consolation prize. It is going to help in the sustain department, but they're also playing 3 tanks plus Thresh, so probably didn't need it.
Yeah, there's 6,000 gold behind as well. I mean,
KFC
yay, they have an
driver
Ocean Dragon,
for,
but they need to
Kaylin.
not die.
Yeah. Picks up the Kirsch's Shard, of course, one of the most annoying items in the game to have to buy.
Yeah, that is an awful item. I think it's like one of the least gold efficient items in the game.
Really? You are 100%
Yeah,
correct.
If you see someone walking around with a Kirchi Shard, something's gone
I
wrong.
get really happy when I get to base and can't pick up a Zeal. I'm like, oh, I get the Shard instead.
Nah,
this is
I'm
great.
not a fan of the Shard. If I would rather pick up like Cold Dagger or something early game.
Yeah, no. Yeah, absolutely. Or give him just double dagger. Like,
Well, Low does at least complete his static Shiv.
okay, well, Only's got his XP advantage that I spoke about in the early game. He's 1 level up now over the Elise, so, I mean, he's not going to be able to do anything, but it's nice.
Hasn't been busy though at all. I mean, Only's generally a pretty busy jungler. He gets around Summoner's Rift quite quickly, ganks bottom lane a lot normally, but last couple of weeks, something's been a little bit off with the young man. You can see on his camera, actually, hands off keyboard for a little bit there, rubbing his eyes.
Just making sure he clicks the right part of the blast cone.
Did he get it?
No, he didn't bother. He just walked away. But no, look, Only someone that we were full of praise for at the start of the season. We spoke a lot about him, especially after his first, 3-4 weeks.
And his Origin performance, to be honest, his Origin performance was
Yeah,
pretty
well, that's
great
kind of
for New South Wales.
That's kind of what started it, right?
Yeah.
His Origin was just before OPL, and he played pretty well, and everyone thought, oh, maybe Only's, and then he had a good couple opening weeks in the OPL, and it looked like Only might be the next up-and-coming jungler. We haven't had a real up-and-coming jungler for years now, really, unless you count Shen.
I mean,
and
they
we
all
thought that
disappear. What happens with that, with the junglers? I mean, we thought Guts was going to be all right. He came in, had a brief stint, did not look all that impressive. Fesh has only played a couple of professional games. He jogs around all professional scenes now. He's just a connoisseur of all games. Now only slumping a little bit. There was a time where like 80% of Challenger was jungling.
It's very difficult to make the transition, I think, from solo queue jumping to competitive, and we see it so often with players who are high on the solo queue ladder, touted as the next big thing. I mean, you named a few names. Impaired was another big one.
Yep.
Of all these guys who were, top 5 solo queue.
Vengeance at the moment.
Yep, and they just can't make the transition. And I think that it's a very different game playing solo or not.
Would it be a different story for Only if he was laning with a much stronger lane in the bottom lane?
Okay, like the answer is yes, because obviously the better your teammates, the easier your job is. But at the same time, when you look at his first 3 or 4 weeks, the weeks that we were saying was good, he was playing with the same bottom lane he is now. And so I think we've seen him perform with this bottom lane, and we've seen him not perform with this bottom lane. So he can do it, and he hasn't been. And the reason for that, I'm not going to speculate, but I think that those are the things we know.
Yeah, well, he's not the problem so far in this match, but definitely hasn't provided any solutions for TM coming back into this game.
I think that's a really good way to put it.
Meanwhile, you already saw Rip Terror being dropped top side of the map by Abyss, trying to chunk away at top lane inner turret. Praetor is still split pushing on the bottom side of the map against Pabu. He's got his Black Cleaver and Tiamat, whereas Sunfire Cave as well as Tiamat picked up by Pabu. Haven't seen that item in quite some time.
That's the extra pushing speed, I think. Just wants to match Praetor in the split, doesn't want to give him too much priority. I mean, to be honest, he's that far ahead. I don't think it super matters what he builds, but there's very little magic damage coming out of the TM lineup, so probably safe investing into that armor.
Yep.
6k gold lead now for Abyss. Be curious to see when they finally make the play for Baron. I think generally Abyss are not big fans of Baron. They like to start and pull off a lot. They're not big on committing to it. So my guess is that we'll probably see all these outers fall before they try, unless someone gets picked.
Yeah, completely agree. You can see right there, Abyss was looking for a flank. Zonly's getting collapsed on, pushes Sebs back. And T-Gun wanted to attack Raid because Raid hitting the turret, only a 500 range, 80 carry, is leaving himself open a little bit, but T-Gun unfortunately can't make the play. They don't commit super hard for it. And TM right now are just trying to stall the game out. They're trying to lose at the slowest pace possible to hope they get towards a 35, 38-minute game where maybe the Caitlyn does come online. And, I mean, if Luke steps on a trap or something like that, then he'll get chunked out.
Pabu is 30 CS up. Sorry, Praetor is 30 CS up.
Seeing some proactivity here.
There's a hook coming out, lands onto Praetor. He's going to have to take a dark passage back. An ultimate being thrown out by Rosie to re-engage. T-Gun gets a hook, throws out the box. Shock is now taking out the front lines. Big flash taunt coming out from Pabu. And they cancel the ultimate from Galio as well. He's being melted by the rest of Abyss. Only can't even get into the fight. A flash forward from Luch almost takes down Low. He'll be able to escape with both his summoner spells being blown there and only nowhere to be seen the entire fight.
Yeah, unfortunately for Low, just gets outplayed. Syndra flashes on him, hits R, takes all of his health away. He has to burn double summoner spells and head for the hills. Bummer. It happens every now and again.
That's definitely a bummer. Look, very curious to see some proactivity out of the team who's 8k, they don't know how far behind they are, but they would have to have an idea. Curious that they will try to push a tower without their frontline, Gragas. Just a very easy engage for Abyss. TM kind of just running it down there. They get the Baron off the pick, which is good, and they're going to put some work in on these outers.
Yeah, and that's like not a mechanical error, Fish. You're at the wrong part of the map at the wrong time. I mean, yeah, that's 100%. A shot calling or like whatever you want to call it.
I'm a big fan of throwing the Hail Mary when you're down. I don't like just being bled. I think it feels shit, and I think it can hurt your mentality going into the next game. If you spend 40 minutes losing a game that you could never win, as opposed to a 30-minute game where maybe you lost a little bit harder than you would have otherwise. So I'm not against it, but I don't think that was the proactive play they needed to make.
And I also don't think this is the game that you make that play, because I think that you outscale here. I think that you've got a Galio that if you get to the incredible late game with a Caitlyn, you'll be able to take over the Summoner's Rift. So I think that there are games where you throw caution to the wind.
That's devastating. That's missing. Missing the ultimate there by only. Not good. That's a mechanic.
LGD were a big fan of it. LGD were the team that if they felt like they would get outscaled and they lost an early game, they would team fight you and surrender. They would legitimately, if they lost a team fight, would FF the game.
They actually FF?
Yeah. Would actually FF the game.
Ooh-wee.
And
China.
that's kind of what we're talking about, that mentality thing, right? Because they were like, well, we refuse to be in a game that, like, and that was when they were at their best. I'm not talking about after
like salty,
World till
like,
LGD.
It's like a legitimate thing.
I'm talking about team that won the LPL, LGD, would surrender games that they thought they could not win.
Yeah.
Won an LPL?
Yes, they did, Fish. Don't you start this crap. There was a legitimate time where they were the best team in the world. So,
Okay.
I don't know. A lot of people still think they are.
All right, yeah, let's keep it on nose. Let's keep it on nose. Let's not say anything that we're going to regret later.
Going for a fight again. TikTok Shock's coming over the ultimate, but Tegan's already dead. Taunt comes up, only lands onto the thresh, and Lowe's be forced to use his 90 caliber net to get out of this fight. Abyss just charge up towards the inner turret. They take it down. Praetor, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a game where an 80 carry with 500 range is getting access to team fights that Caitlyn can't even reach because she's absolutely getting destroyed.
Praetor just cancelled his recall. Abyss continue pushing forward. They're going to take down a free inhibitor. They could keep going to the base if they want to.
I don't think, I mean, I don't want to say that he's giving up, but I think at this point, like, if they don't end and he gets a little bit of extra gold, like that's something that could maybe help him get it back in this game.
Well, he's
if
finally,
he bases, they're going to end anyway.
He's finally going back to base. Tegan's come back up. Galio very low. Shock is going to be taken out by Luch. Pabu channels his ultimate straight onto Sev, forced to flash away, but Pabu's now the one that's in trouble. Flag and Dragon Praetor with the Cataclysm gets 2 kills for TM. Raid forcing out his ultimate to get back to safety. Flashes immediately and heals. Off the back of that, ultimate comes out. Ace in the hole, deals a lot of damage. Luch! What the heck? Turns around, deletes T-Gun. Rosie is a little bit of trouble here, but it goes back. Will he get him? Low almost gets taken down. Shoots a net in his face to get a return kill. So TM get 4 kills for their troubles.
I mean, they get all the shutdowns. Praetor successfully baits them into the base by staying top lane. Cleans up the team fight. So, I mean, they got a lot of shutdowns there. They would have been great to pick up Raid's one because he's on maximum shutdown bonus as well, nearly.
Yeah.
But unfortunately didn't get it. But at this stage of the game, picking up a couple of thousand gold is all you can really hope for TM.
Yeah, they still lose their inhibitor. And 9,000 gold behind Abyss at the moment.
Bad call by me, saying Praetor should have just kept pushing. Obviously, he knew better. Picks up a couple extra kills. They do lose it in here, but they were going to lose it anyway. They get a little bit extra gold in their pocket. They burn a lot of flashes. That's the big thing to take away from this. No one on Abyss has flash right now, and they're playing against Gragas, Galio, Jarvan. So there is potential for TM to do a TM bush, to just sack sideways, sit in the bush somewhere, and Jarvan flash forwards.
You could really see in that fight, though, majority of the damage that was being dealt to Abyss came from the Nexus turrets, not so much a champion in this game. It doesn't look great for TM, but Low has picked up his Affinity Edge with second Zeal item on its way.
Yeah, and this is what we're waiting for. Like, Caitlyn in an item will come online. Sure, she's not going to do all that much damage to Pabu because he's a big fat tank, but everyone else is going to be able to shred through anyway. And, you know, we were talking about Jarvan. He's nearly gone towards Stoneplate. There are some positive signs. They've got their first Knight's Vow out. I would love to see T-Gun also pick up a Knight's Vow at a certain point in this game. And probably throw that one towards Praetor or something like that. And then you just look to brawl. I mean, this is what the meta is. Double Knight's Vow, 5v5 fights, and just get in there and try and kill someone.
Right down. Yeah, I mean, I will say that a Syndra with 6 kills is just as easy to kill as a Syndra with no kills. Yep. Right? She has the same amount of health, and she still has no mobility. I mean, her flash did just come up, so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult, and she has the Banshee's Veil. But ultimately, the only way TM, I think, are going to win is a giant wombo here. Praetor has to EQ with a flash or ult flash or something, followed up by Galio ult. Caitlyn does do a bit of damage now. She's probably very close to a second Zeal item.
Let's see if they get the fight going. TM holding their ground for now. Abyss are charging towards mid lane inhibitor turret. They have Pabu split pushing still. Trap line has been placed by Low, but it's on top side of the map.
I mean, I think this game is legitimately... Oh, good hook.
Yeah, they've got Rosie. He's not very tanky. Ultimate comes out from Pabu. He does get knocked back into the wall, but they don't take him down fast enough. No burst damage coming out from TM.
Yeah, but I think this game is 7 minutes away from being okay for TM Gaming.
Well, I mean, if it stays like this, the thing they don't tell you about taking inhibs is it's actually the biggest freeze in the game.
Yep.
Right? No, everyone says taking inhib, that's good, gives you pressure, whatever. But these supers are killing minions that Abyss aren't getting, and that is one of the big reasons that teams come back, right? Because this bot lane, Abyss are getting no farm from it. And they haven't been and they won't be until this inhib respawns. So if they aren't able to take anything else, or they aren't able to extend their gold lead while the inhib is down, it's actually an avenue for TM to catch back up.
And they've got good items, as Small mentioned earlier. Knight's Vow already complete for only. Praetor has his Gargoyle Stone Play, so he's a big tank.
Kate's basing for something.
Should be that second Zeal
When you're
item
inside
complete.
base and you have a Zeal item, it is quicker to walk.
Make that 2 Zeal items now.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no. Only.
Nah,
Still goes
he's
over the
alright.
wall. He's fine.
I will say, though, on that pick earlier, I wanted to say at the time, but I didn't, that only the angle on the ult, I think, was a little bit off. He put him straight back into the wall.
Yep.
I think if he put him diagonal back into the lane, Rosie would have died almost certainly there. But, it's a harsh thing to criticize someone for.
unfortunate.
Then again, it's League is a game of inches. Small things.
Certainly is. And I mean, the inches are actually being clawed back because gold should always be taken as a percentage value. 10,000 gold when it's 20,000 to 10,000 is a lot of gold. I mean, when it's 70 to 80,000 gold, not all that much in a grand scheme of things. However, they have started up the Baron again.
They do it very quick as well. Feathers are being piled through this Baron. Rosie's trying to stop people from going through. Only is waiting to see if he can get a steal off. And there's a
Teleport's coming
teleport
in.
from Praetor, trying to force
Here
him
he
to
comes.
burn it. He goes in. Does he get it? No, taken away by Seb. But it starts a full 5-on-5 brawl.
Oh.
Galio with massive ultimate. Raid is in a lot of trouble. He gets taken down, shut
He
down
goes
by
low.
Only.
Luch
And
soon.
TM move forward. Low gets another
Oh.
one. Big ultimate from Lucho. Shuts him down. Seb now in trouble. Body bop comes out from Only.
Tiga.
He's going to repel away. Tiga with the hook goes back into the fight. Praetor very low and Pabu slapping away. He gets one. He wants the second on Tiga and he blasts cones away. No knockout for him today, but a good team fight from TM.
Fantastic team fight out of TM. I mean, they're still 12,000 gold down, Fish, and they trade completely even because this is what we're talking about. The game gets to a point where you can't buy things like range and the inherent tankiness that you're going to get out of a Galio ult, and that was an absolutely amazing fight for TM.
Ooh, and Only is going to start up Infernal Dragon as well.
Seb
Seb
is
is
sprinting over.
sprinting his way down with his Sorcerer's Boots, so no Moby Boots at least here, but still very fast.
Round 2 Smite fight. I don't think they will be able to kill each other,
Ding, ding,
but
ding.
we'll see how the...
He's not going to be able to kill it in time. He has to leave.
Only backs off.
And he's gifted it.
There's hello, Seb. Here is an Infernal
Dragon,
Dragon,
mate?
if you like.
Oh, and
Prep the
Inhib
foil.
got taken down.
Tactical decision, you know, let the wave continue pushing back so they can't access the bottom lane anymore.
Idiots. Now we just get more farm. That Baron going over, really good smite by Seb. He was actually down in XP, so only smite does more damage, but Seb still manages to secure it here, so big play by him. I always say that it's easier to steal than it is to secure. Gragas did get his smite off, so they both smote, but a massive wombo here. And you can kind of see what Cyclone was going for in the draft with the team fight. You know, they're so far behind. That was a Syndra.
Kaparos.
Yeah. Seb and Pabu turned this around massive. If they both died,
Yeah.
if Elise died there and they turn onto Pabu, he dies as well. They lose all their Barons, and that's a lot of shutdown gold. So big play at the end there by Pabu.
Not only that, you get an Infernal Drake. Caitlyn's got
Yep.
a QSS now.
True.
Maybe instead she's able to pick up something like a Last Whisper.
Abyss have double fire too now.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's a big deal.
Hooks onto Rosie as well.
Just,
They're committing to the kill here. Ultimate's getting channeled by Pabu to give him a big shield. Knock up onto low to keep him off Rosie, who's very low. Cast only knocks him into a
another
wall
one.
again.
And that's just a wasted cast because you know you're about to
hang on.
fight.
Praetor goes back in. Raid pops the ulti early, but Galio comes in, gets a knock up around the edges and tries to get back onto Pabu. He's getting locked down, but Raid has already taken down the big Java, and Pabu falls to some turret attacks there. TM inside their own base. Hook is on, lands onto Elise, but
three-man
big
stun.
triple stun coming out of Luch. Deletes low, only watches as everyone from TM gets taken down. That should be game.
Yeah, and you know, she dies very quickly, but she also kills you very quickly. And Luke's showing the mastery of the champion Syndra at the moment, absolutely taking over that last team fight, and that'll be the game,
Yep.
Fish.
Only's going to try and do his best to stop this, but the death time is way too long for TM. Abyss storm onto the Rift. They pick up a massive gold lead, a little bit delayed thanks to valiant efforts of TM, but they pick up game 1 of this best of 3 series.
And you got to think, if you remember that one player that we were criticising in the mid game where they kind of just all died at mid,
Yep.
if they hadn't done that, this game still got dragged out to 30-something minutes, what kind of position the game would have been in?
I completely agree. I mean, when you have a look at those games, the scaling was on the side of TM. And Luch had to come up massive in a couple of team fights. The one team fight
Yeah,
where
Luch
he
played really well.
used all of his mana on the Baron
Yep.
and couldn't get much damage
Yeah,
out
yep,
was the one
yep.
that they looked like they were going to lose.
Yep.
That one, when he had full mana, I mean, he outplayed the whole team.
Yeah, huge three-man stun at the end there. I think Luch had a great performance today. Luch's Syndra is something that, you know, had been banned a number of times in the OPL. He's known for playing it in solo queue. He puts a lot of pressure on and just looked like they could out-micro them at the end.
Yep.
We saw a few small mistakes. Like I said, you know, it's harsh to criticize people for the small micro mistakes, but League is a game of inches, and it's the team that does the little things better that wins.
And it's kind of the unforced errors, Fish. I mean, when it's a high, like really fast-paced situation, like a team fight or something, you can understand when sometimes it goes wrong. But when
Yeah.
it's a pick that you get to set up and you get to look at the angles,
Yeah.
that was a 1v5 that twice he missed the barrel on Rosie there. So it's kind of an unforced error. It's not like, you know, he was getting stunned and there's a lot of action going on around him. I think Only would kick himself a little bit for that. So I don't know if it's necessarily that unfair.
He missed the Gragas ultimate in the jungle as well, which could have secured his team another couple of picks too. So not a great performance from TM's jungler. TM as a whole didn't perform too well. We didn't see the usual class out of Praetor either. No big plays against Babu. No split pushing from him too.
And the thing is that like people will be like, Only as a carry jungler, like it's not his meta. I've seen him play Gragas to a very good degree. I mean, I think that he is actually a pretty good player. Well, he plays Nidalee. Everyone that plays Nidalee is a carry jungler, mate.
No, he just farms. He's just a farmer. He plays champs that farms well. He plays Zac, farms well. Plays Nidalee, he just plays Rek'Sai. Like all his favorite champions are just champions that kill minions. I mean, kill camps.
There you go, PvE.
He's a PvE player. That's what he is.
Farming simulator for Only in the jungle. But it's going to be Abyss to pick up the first game here. To break it down a bit further, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And it appears that the slide of TM continues. And I guess what I want to start by talking about is Only in the jungle, because that pick in particular was interesting, right? Picking Gragas over Zac when Zac is still up. Carbon just said then, look, he likes to play Zac. But do you think that was one of the problems with TM's draft?
I think the Gragas was a fine pick, but I was surprised to see Only not pick up the Zac because he played it at League of Origin and he was really good at it. So I was pretty confused as to why they didn't do it. Might just be comfort, and he might haven't been having good scrim results behind the scenes.
It has to be comfort. Like
Yeah.
I think everyone is very much aware that Zac is very broken. Your game yesterday, you guys showed why this champion is so strong.
It's like Shern running away from the fight, getting killed, then staying alive because Zac doesn't die. It's just very frustrating to play against.
It's a huge question mark as to why they prioritize Gragas over Zac. But I'm not gonna say his Gragas was bad, but he did waste a lot of time. You could see on his top gank, he literally runs into lane, body slams, and then leaves. It was essentially 30 seconds wasted, and he could have used that farming and pushing his advantage.
I think both junglers wasted a lot of time this game. At least showed mid, and then failed a gank, then went top and got a straight first blood. I think TM should have communicated that. I think that kill could have been completely avoided.
It could have been avoided, I agree.
And Gragas just went bot, got golems, went top, and then failed a gank. So they both showed on the map and got nothing, and I feel like that small error could have changed the game, especially in the early game when you're playing against an Elise.
Absolutely. The other thing I want to talk about with this draft before we move on is the Shen pick. So they've picked up, AE picked Shen in their fourth, so it's in the second rotation. And then TM picked Jarvan into it. Is there a better top lane pick to choose that would allow them to punish the Shen?
There is a lot of better picks they could have done. I mean, Camille and Fiora open. They hovered Fiora. You're not allowed to blind pick Shen. Like, you're not allowed to. Like, I don't know. I'm so disappointed that they didn't punish this because I know blind picking Shen has so many big counters. And we know that Praetor has been playing Camille solo killing people, and he's a huge Fiora. Like I was on a team with him. This guy loves his Fiora, and for them to last second opt out and go for the Jarvan was very surprising. But it kind of, you could see that this was trying to synergize with the Galio pick, and that was their comp.
Yeah, I think it might be going back to what I was saying before, how Parbu's willing to play the teammate role, and now Praetor might be taking that on. Maybe that Jarvan is the first step. They're thinking more to the long term, and maybe not the short term, even though it's a bad scenario to think like that.
Which term do you prioritize?
Yeah, so I think that's why they might have gone for the Jarvan, but I agree with Choo-Choo's. I do think Fiora and Camille were better picks. That's how they've generally won games before, through split pushing and being that carry, and unfortunately it didn't work out this game.
Well, let's talk about the gameplay then, and when we talk about the short term, the early games, I know something you want to focus on, Destiny.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. Like the fail 5-man bot, as you can see in the top right corner, Syndra just completely zones out Galio, and Galio can't get his ult off. and Kaylin's instantly blown up. So there's no damage from TM to actually save the fight. And as you can see, they don't blow up Pabu. Syndra gets the kill on Galio, and then Syndra just collapses and kills all of them because TM have no threats. And that's, I think Luch solo carried that. If Luch didn't get that kill on Galio, and Galio got his ultimate off, Kaylin might have lived, and this fight could have went completely differently.
I also think that it was very risky of Abyss to do that dive. Yes, you have Shen, and you can execute this dive, but I'm not sure if I don't think they were aware that Only was very close. And they had Abyss, TM had a very good counter dive. They had Gragas right there, and then Jarvan was already TPing in. If Galio did get that ult off, it would have been completely different fight.
And in terms of the risk you're talking about there, I mean, Pabu missed the Shen anyway. Like, as Shen, he missed his... Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely a risk there for Shen not to hit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you know, don't put all your eggs in Pabu's basket because, you know, anyway, look, I don't want to harp on about it. But for TM's defense then, I mean, they're trying to execute a specific kind of comp then, Choo-Choos, yeah?
Yeah, they had a really... it's not like a hard comp to pull off, but then I guess it is. You can see here, this is their mid lane dive they attempted. You can see they're kind of baiting Abyss to run further up the lane, and you're waiting for that counter engage, but Pabu hits a massive flash taunt. He's been great on the Shen so far, and Shock is never actually able to pull his ult off.
I don't think I've seen a Galio die so quick. He just gets shredded down.
Yeah, but I mean, Only was hovering the top side. They had a ping set up. Like you could see that they were trying to coordinate this their comp essentially, but they got shut down by honestly just a great Shen flash taunt.
So let's talk about that. Let's go deep on that comp from TM. I mean, obviously you're going to try and hit a lot of ults in a row, but what's the best order to hit them? You got Galio.
The
Gragas.
ideal situation would be Gragas engaging, or you hit a hook.
Yep.
He did hit a hook just then. You would then require the Jarvan to go in, ults, probably get 3 or 4 people, ideally, and then you have the Galio come in, and essentially Caitlyn would be left just trying to
popping
clean,
shots from the back.
just trying to shoot. That is their comp.
I think the main problem was that they blew up the Galio didn't get off his ult, and they were playing to Abyss's comp this game. They were playing in these small, tight areas with split fights. Elise was killing people. Syndra was killing people. Even Raid was solo killing low, like on the opposite corner.
Yeah.
So I feel like Abyss played their comp, and TM eventually figured it out with their comp, but it was too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing with TM's comp is you want to get all those ults off, and that's your front line, while Kaylyn's in the back just, you know, popping people in the head.
Yeah, they had one good team fight. Which was around the Baron pits. This is it. Abyss ends up securing the Baron, only almost steals it, but you can see that Shock is tanking them up. Jarvan goes in. The 3 people are stuck into a huge Galio ult. This is their team fight. This is essentially, they're 10k behind at this point. And they managed to win this team fight, which just shows that this draft, Cyclone's draft, was well thought out. The Jarvan pick, despite not picking Fiora or Camille, there was a reason behind it. And you can only just question if they weren't 10k behind, would this game have been that much different?
Yeah.
Because it shows that they can execute this comp, but the question is do they want to have a comp like this going into the next game?
So is this what? I mean, we saw it yesterday. Legacy were picking this kind of comp against you guys. NA this morning, people were playing a Bard Maokai comp as well, where you're just hitting a lot of wombos. Is that part of this tank meta, or is this a separate meta we're seeing evolve?
Nah, I think it is the tank meta. When you've got a tanky jungler, a tank top, and then you have a CC support, it just all works together. The wombo combo meta is back. Back to season 4 and season 3. But yeah, the meta is shifted, and it's taken a hit on players like Only, I think, because he has been that carry player. He's played Nidalee, played Elise, played the Graves, even players like Fade, I feel like, and they're still trying to adapt. And it's what the casters were touching on before, how the junglers have to adapt, and if they don't, it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, but you see this as well. I mean, when we talk about like Only wanting to be a farming jungler, which is what Carbon was saying before, he's only 6 CS ahead of Seb in that game. And obviously, Seb had a little bit more jungle control because his team was pushing all their lanes in. But, for a farming jungler Only, that's not a lot.
I'll tell you what, though, here's a good-looking score. He went 4-1-5. They were 13, 14k down at the end. Yeah, like
Gragas doesn't die.
They prioritized the Gragas over Zac, and I guess he had a good game. He played team fights well. That last team fight, the Baron pit, he did his job. I wonder if they'll prioritize the Gragas again. They're blue side now, so it depends. Like, do they want to first pick that Zac away?
To me, I think Seb played like a team player. I felt like he got his team ahead in the early game. That was his job. And on the other hand, Only didn't really do much. He just, to me, Only is a trading sides player. I've said this before on the cast. He'll always trade farm, but if he doesn't solo carry, I feel like his team crumbles apart. And that's why I think the meta shift has hurt him.
You feel like when you... Oh, wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Luch had a monster performance, by the way. Like, I feel like he was the best player in this game.
By some margin. Well, statistically, by some margin he was, yes.
I was confused as to why. We touched on this a bit before the game, but I don't know why they gave Luch Syndra. He's been playing this for the past 3 weeks, and it's his most comfortable champion. It shows here. Yeah, I don't know. Like, they're definitely going to be talking about it going into this next game, but it makes me question their practice and their thoughts going into this matchup.
We were saying just before we were talking about T-Gun playing Thresh and hitting hooks. We have a tweet in as well on hashtag IamOPL. Dale Pearl wants to know, and Destiny, you're a support main, so you would know the answer to this. What is a good average number of souls for Thresh?
All right, the best...
I guess they mean coming out of laning
yeah,
phase, I would think.
I think out of lane, it's 30 to 40 is a good margin. For me, I don't really think about the souls. I think I more prioritize killing people.
Hit the hooks.
Yeah, hitting the hooks
trying
in
to
lane.
kill the enemy.
Yeah. I feel like if you don't kill people in lane as Thresh, you get outscaled by all the other supports. So I don't think your main focus should be the souls, my friend.
Okay. Choo-choos, do you have a differing opinion on that? Or do you agree?
Yeah, so he doesn't get armor
Yeah.
per level. He needs souls to get armor. So you do want to get souls. So it's definitely worth thinking about, but I agree. 30 to 40 seems like a good number, but it's more about hitting your skill shots.
All right, so hit those hooks. All right, another tweet coming in on hashtag IamOPL is from Easy Blood. Has there ever been a time that Thresh was explicitly bad? He feels so impactful no matter the situation. Well, I mean, I've seen some bad Threshers in my time, but I think this is more of a meta question than a specific player question.
I think Thresh has his spot in the meta with Elise. If you play an early aggressive comp and you want to snowball the map, like for instance, yesterday I had a couple of Thresh bans from the Legacy team, but yeah, I do.
Good on Thresh, man.
I do think Thresh is good no matter what.
Yeah.
I think his kit is just good. He has Lannon, he has his hook. Flay can cancel all the jumps. Knockups are really strong in this meta. But it's just the fact that you have to win your lane. He's really good into the squishy supports, like Karma, like the Janna. But with a meta where Braum and a Nautilus is on the Rift for some reason, then you can't do much.
But Thresh has always, well, not always, but Thresh has for a while now been a high priority support, Choo-choos.
Yeah, Thresh has been around ever since Mad Life started defining the meta on how to play Thresh. Everyone's kind of had their own style towards them. I know you, Rogue is Ejim as well. Like these kinds of guys like have their unique kind of play style when they play Thresh. So he'll always remain in the meta, but as you said, tank meta makes it a bit difficult for Thresh to thread the needle. Try and hit one of those carries instead of a fat tank.
And I will say that I quite like that Cyclones put Thresh back. I mean, Thresh. Let's put T-Gun back on a playmaking support. I think he was hitting a couple of hooks that game. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was good to see.
If you've got any questions at home for our support player Destiny or Choo-choos as well, specifically about the support role, please do tweet us hashtag IamOPL or at OPL during this game. It is now time for us to get into our second game of the day. So let's watch some highlights from game number 1.
Flash as well as a Flak Cocoon coming out from him. They take down Praetor for Abyss, get an easy first blood. Good taunt coming through, and he's the first one to fall. Dodgefield negating a lot of damage. Parbu's trying to run, but Seb's going to be a big casualty. Parbu taking off so many turret hits, and a Flay bringing Rosie back into the fight. Meanwhile, though, Shock's been able to kill the mid laner from, TM's mid laner has been able to take it down. Shock is now taking out the front lines. Big flash taunt coming out from Parbu, and they cancel the ultimate from Galio as well. He's being melted by the rest of Abyss. Ultimate comes out, ace in the hole, deals a lot of damage. Luch! What the heck? Turns around, deletes T-Gun. Rosie is a little bit of trouble here, but it goes back. Will he get him? Low almost gets taken down. Shoots a net in his face to get a return kill, so TM get 4 kills for their troubles. And Galio with massive ultimate. Raid is in a lot of trouble. He gets taken down, shut down by Only. And TM move forward. Low gets another one. Big ultimate from Luch, so shuts him down. Sam now in trouble. Body bomb comes out from Only. He's going to repel away. T-Gun with the hook goes back into the fight. Raider very low and Parbu slapping away. TM inside their own base. Hook is on. Lands onto Elise. The big triple stun coming out of Luch. Deletes low. Only watches as everyone from TM gets taken down. That should be game. Abyss storm onto the Rift. They pick up a massive gold lead. A little bit delayed thanks to valiant efforts of TM. They pick up game 1 of this best 3 series.